Good evening, Post Facebook family. Welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose with me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide, and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Poppa! Bryan+Post! Rah! 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 I always think of like the not the UFC, because I would not step foot in the octagon, but I think about the WWF, like with The Rock, and Sting is kind of old school. I'm not up, never mind. Anyway, the ring, the square ring, you jump up, it's all fake. You don't really get hurt, but some of those guys get banged up. Hi, Mom. Some of those guys get banged up pretty good. So thanks for joining me for another episode of Post Daily Dose, and hey, Cindy, happy Friday. So I've got this little square that pops up on my screen that says, go live with Post. And all I got to do is push this blue button that says invite, and my mom will pop up on the screen, and she will be in her favorite spot, and she would be just mortified. So I'm not going to push that blue button. But thank you for joining me this evening. And we're going to have to experiment with that. I'm going to have to bring you guys, I need some guests. My guest studio, I guess that would be like my studio audience, right? So we'll have to play around with that. So what's Big Poppa talking about this fine Friday evening? We're going to talk about the problem with point and reward charts. How many of you, show of hands, how many of you have a point and reward chart on your refrigerator or somewhere on your wall, or maybe on a wall that you haven't bothered with in a long time, and it's now collecting cobwebs and dust? You go, I know there's a couple of you. I remember going into a home once. I was doing intensive in-home early in my career, and there was a point chart on a wall that was so old it had started to turn yellow. And it was just, I guess it had become artwork, I'm supposing. So you all know what they are. They are, in their essence, they're behavior modification charts. And so the chart and the belief, the theory is that you reward behavior. And I'm not sure that lay people know where that comes from, but that comes from Pavlovian theory, which is you ring a bell and you give the dog food. You ring a bell, you give the dog food. You ring the bell, you don't give the dog food, and the dog salivates. So then pretty soon you ring the bell and the dog salivates. You take away the food, you ring the bell, the dog still salivates. So Pavlovian theory really is a foundation of behavior modification. And behavior modification is all about, it's a cognitive behavioral approach, which means that by changing a child's thinking, you can change their behavior. And actually, cognitive behavioral theories dominate psychology. So most of the theories, most of the perspectives, most of the counseling, suggestions, and guidance that many of you will receive or have received are based on cognitive behavioral therapy. Change the thoughts, change the behavior, right? Very, very common. So that all came from Pavlovian theory, which is, ring the bell, dog salivates, and it's very cognitive based. So the essence of the point and reward chart is that by giving the child, things to do, and then giving them points for doing them, which then lead to a gift or something positive, is the theory. Or by not getting the point, they don't get the thing. So it's very dog-like, very Pavlovian, except in this instance, the star is the meat. And so you've got the request, the behavioral thing, which is the bell, and then you've got the meat, and then you've got the receiving of the meat. And so you give the child has a chore, you tease them with the star, and then if they get the star, then they get the reward. And so that is, in essence, a point and reward chart. And it's supposed to condition a child to behave to get the stars, to get the rewards. Now, that is great in theory. And it's as I have said to you all on some previous daily doses, that works for 70% of children. I really want to be clear about that. It's kind of the same way when I talked about consequences. Same thing when I talk about 1, 2, 3 magic. And I'm kind of going down, I do a parenting continuum, and I have this side of our most common tools and techniques that we do. And they're the most common things that we do because they work. But the secret that most people don't know is that they work with 70% of children, because with 70% of their brains can respond. I never know if when I lose connection and it starts spinning and it says finish, if I keep talking, if you still hear me, or if I just stop, or if it freezes. So I don't know what you see on your side. But the brain can respond to the threat in a way that causes it to move back into compliance without being too stressed, without being overwhelmed, without being dysregulated. So we use that out of 10 children. We can use that with 7 children. We can use 1, 2, 3 magic. We can use consequences. We can use points and rewards. And the thing is, I want you to hear this. So 7 out of 10 children, you can do 1, 2, 3 magic and get to 1 to 2. You'll never get to 3. With 7 out of 10 children, you can give a consequence once, and you'll probably not ever have to give a consequence again. If you do, it'll be a long time before you do. And then a lot of times what you do is just have to threaten with the consequence, remind with the consequence, and you get behavioral compliance. With 7 out of 10 children, you can do points and rewards, and the significance there is that they always get their points, so they always get the reward. Why is it? Is it that the intervention works? Is it that the behavior modification tool works? Or is it that the child's brain, therein the child, is capable of responding and handling the potential reward or the potential intervention or the potential threat? I think it's the latter. The child's brain is capable, because if something works, it should work with all children, not just 70%, not just 7 out of 10. It should work with all 10 theoretically. And if something is truly effective, you shouldn't have to keep doing it. But the thing is, with the 30%, with the 3 children, your 1, 2, 3 magic, you're always going to 3. So you're always having to end up punishing them in some way. With your consequences, you're always consequencing this child. They don't remember. They don't learn. They keep getting consequences over and over and over again. With the 30%, with the 3 out of the 10 children, they're always getting the spanking. Right? If you spank, which I don't think you should, and go back and watch a past episode of Daily Dose, I'll tell you why. But if you spank, they're always getting the spankings. If you're into isolation and sending kids to their rooms for long periods of time, they're always in their room. If you're into taking stuff away, they have nothing. Right? The 70% get all the stuff. They always get the dessert. Rarely do they ever not get the dessert. They don't ever have the consequence. They always get the points and rewards. There's a reason for that. Not because they're better kids, but because their brains can handle stress better. How do we not get that? In times of stress, our thinking becomes confused and distorted, and our short-term memory is suppressed. Joseph Ledoux, the emotional brain, New York University neuroscientist. In times of stress, our thinking becomes confused and distorted, and our short-term memory is suppressed. If you are prone to states of dysregulation, if you are prone to states of being stressed out because you don't have a solid window of tolerance, then you're always going to be operating, you're always at risk of operating within the state of confused and distorted thinking. You're always at risk of operating within this state of a suppressed Short-term memory. Sylvia says, I feel like that's 50-50 in my house of 4 kids. Yeah, it could go by both ways. Absolutely. So that's a very good comment, Sylvia. Thank you for sharing that. Sylvia says, I feel like that's 50-50 in my house of 4 kids. So she's essentially saying that two of my children respond well to common behavior approaches, probably the way Sylvia was raised. With like her, I know Sylvia's mom. I've known Sylvia since she was this big. Isn't that great? And now Sylvia's got 4 children. Isn't that amazing? Isn't God so good? Isn't this just such a rich, wonderful life that 45 years later, and Sylvia's probably 40. Let's see, how old are you, Sylvia? What are you, like 30, 35? Somewhere, give or take, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit younger, that I could know, like someone, I could be sharing this information, and someone I've known since she was a baby, basically, is like parenting her children, and I get to share based on my experiences, my life. Sylvia said, and I know Sylvia's mom, hi Minnie, know her brothers, beautiful family. So Sylvia's saying she's got 2 children who have stronger windows of tolerance and 2 children who have more sensitive windows of tolerance. So the common things she does, the more traditional things she does, the parenting the way she was parented, the mothering the way she was mothered, because I know Minnie was quick to fuss, quick, fuss and, threaten, because she was just like high strung. So if Sylvia is approaching all 4 of her children, 2 can handle it, 2 can't. So the question, Sylvia says she's 37. Thank you, Sylvia. So 37. So there's 2 children. I would be really curious to know what the birth history of those 2 was like that was different than the other 2, and what their experience in life has been like that was different from the other 2. That's where you find the sensitive windows of tolerance, right? That's where the sensitivity comes in, but that's what we don't see. A lot of times that's what we don't see, is we can have 4 children, but we don't see that in reality, their lives can be vastly different. My sister and I is a perfect example. Both my sister and I adopted, both into the same home with my mom and dad. Both completely different experiences. But see, here's the thing. So we both had completely different experiences socially. We both had completely different experiences emotionally. Here's the thing. My sister was premature when she was born. I was not. My biological mother loved being pregnant. So she carried me for 7 months and took really good care of me, bathed my brain in really good stuff. And it wasn't until that 7th month, going into that 8th month, that she realized that she was going to have to place me for adoption. Therefore, that's when my trauma started. But from conception all the way up to that point, I was good. It was good. And my brain responds to that. Now, obviously, I still have the traumas related to the subsequent adoption, the abandonment, the rejection, the emotional challenges. But my sister, on the other hand, premature, born weighing 3 pounds, had to be in an incubator for 3 months, fetal exposure, completely different experience. See, you would not know that if you put us side by side, though. You wouldn't see that experience if we, and thank you, Katie. Katie says, I look forward to these videos every day. Thank you. You are welcome. Thank you for being here. And that feedback just gives me motivation to continue showing up. So you would not know that if you just placed 2 children side by side. So that is one of the quintessential challenges that our society faces. What Sylvia says is that it's 50-50 with my 4 kids. What she's saying is a societal challenge. All of society, teachers face it, parents face it, mental health professionals face it. The whole field of psychology faces it. We've developed these theories that are based on how we relate to dogs, first of all. But we develop these theories that we apply in schools and we teach parents, and it works in a great deal of time. And then when it comes up to the really challenging children, we call them really challenging. They're really not really challenging. They're just trauma. They just have trauma. They're stress sensitive. They're fearful. So they have more fear than other children. They have more stress than other children. They don't tolerate the same things the same way. So we have to change the cookie cutter approach. So what do? I'm not going to tell you to tear up the point chart. Here's why. Now, in my younger days, in my more impulsive days, I would have told you to pull that freaking chart off the wall and rip that son of a rip it in two and burn it. Well, first stomp on it with your children and burn it. That's what I would have told you in my younger, more impassioned, impulsive days. But I'm not going to tell you that anymore. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Take the chart, look at the chart, look at the things you've asked your child to do. I want you to keep the chart. But what I want you to do is I want you to remove all of the rewards, right? So on the rewards section, I just want you to put, what's it? T, B, I'm out here writing in the air like you guys can see me. T, B, D. To be determined. You put that on the rewards. To be determined. Now, you got the same chores. You have the same expectations. When your child, when it's time to follow through the routine, when your child is able to do it, give them the star. When your child is not able to do it, here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself what is going on with your child in this moment. And then I want you to ask your child what is going on in this moment. And then what I want you to do is I want you to use their failure to comply, their failure to do what you ask them to do as a signal that tells you that they are stressed, that they are feeling fearful. And so when they do it, they get a star, maybe they get a gold star. When they struggle, maybe they get a silver star. But next to the silver star is for both of you. The silver star indicates needed my emotional support, needed my teaching, needed my regulation. And then what I want you to do is I want you and your child to do that chore together. And once you've done that chore together, I want you to put a gold star. And the gold star is for both of you. So you get a silver star if they're struggling and they need your help. You go do it with them, and then you put a gold star up there. And what that's going to tell you is that particular chore may be a little bit more overwhelming for your child than other chores. And then your child may need a little more support, emotional support, may need a little bit more understanding because they are capable, right? I want you to hear something. You are a good parent. You are a great parent. The fact that you would just tune in to hear my jibba jabba every single night indicates that you are a parent who is committed to doing something different. And that is a beautiful thing. So because of that, your child wants to be successful. Your child is modeling you. You want to be a successful parent. Your child wants to be successful. There are some chores sometimes that they just cannot handle. They just cannot do. And they need your support. They don't need your punishment. They don't need to be made to feel bad. They need your support. So it is a dyadic process too. It is a dyadic process that involves both of you. When your child needs your emotional support, ask yourself, what's going on with my child right now? And then ask your child what's going on with them. And maybe even ask yourself first, what's going on with you? Make sure you're regulated. Help them do that thing because that's teaching. That's modeling. That's how they're going to learn. You're going to take away all the threat. See, a lot of people think that by helping the child do the thing, you're actually giving in to them and being soft and coddling and making it easy. That's all crap. That's just not true. By helping them do the thing, you are actually teaching them that thing is not stressful and it's not overwhelming, which will then help them to be successful. Keep your point and reward charts, but just put the big Poppa touch on it. Put the choose love touch on it. Because in any given situation, with our children, just like with everyone else, we can keep doing the same thing we've always done, guys. We've been doing point and freaking reward charts our whole freaking lives. We've been having some semblance of that our whole freaking lives. It's all they do in schools is some semblance of behavior modification. So we can keep doing that same thing and expecting a different result. And Einstein says that's the definition of insanity. Or we can put the big Poppa touch on it. Put the big Poppa touch on it and let it be a guide. Let it be a guide and insight into some struggles your child is having. And let that lead you. And by slowing down, by taking those 3 to 10 deep breaths, by allowing your thinking to come online, your short-term memory to be available, and allowing yourself to do the same thing for your child, you're choosing love. And when you're choosing love, you're putting that big Poppa touch on it. So keep your point and reward charts, but put that big Poppa touch on it. We don't need that threat and that fear and that shame. That's old school parenting. That's old paradigm parenting. We are new paradigm parents. This is a new parenting love-evolution. It's a new parenting love-evolution. We're creating something new. We're breaking the generational cycles. The sins of the forefathers will be passed down and visited upon the 3rd and 4th generations. 3 and 4 generations, our failings will be passed down and visited upon us. Who's going to break the chains? Who's going to break the cycle? You are. We are. We're going to do it together. We're going to create a new parenting love-evolution. Right? It's time for something different. It's time for something new, and you're going to do it. So God bless you. Hope you have a fantastic Friday night. I'm not going to give you my usual lay your head down at night and wake up in the morning feeling refreshed and reinvigorated. I want you to party tonight. So when you lay down at night, I want you to be so tired, just pass out. Just pass out and sleep like a daggum angel that you are. And wake up in the morning and it's Saturday and feel good. So party tonight, pull out some ice cream. Make you a big old Coke float. Get some movies, some Christmas movies. It's Christmas season. And have a dadgum good time. Know that Big Poppa loves you. And I'll see you again tomorrow night.